What's going on, guys? I'm Tommy, and I'm coming at you with another review. Today, I'm going to be reviewing the Hot Toys General Grievous Special Edition. This has to be probably my most anticipated, if not one of my most anticipated Hot Toys releases here in 2025. And when this first came out, I was a minute one pre-order supporter for this guy. I can't believe he is here already. I feel like I just ordered him, and I'm really excited to get him opened for you all. I did pre-order this guy through Sideshow.com. That's the place I go to for most of my Hot Toys orders and pre-orders. They're a great service here in the United States. They have an awesome reward system as well. Definitely recommend checking them out. The first thing I want to say about this product is just how big the box is. This box is gigantic. If you can't tell, this isn't my usual backdrop that I have for my reviews, and that's because this box is too big. It won't fit in my backdrop for my reviews, and that just really contributes to how special this release feels. So taking a look at the packaging, the style of the packaging is just a little bit different than what you usually get with Star Wars Hot Toys. You have your standard look, which is the black background here with the glam shot of the figure looking absolutely stunning here. On this side here, you have the Sideshow exclusive sticker because we did get the special edition version of this. The banner, as opposed to being something that's connected to the lid of the box, is just a loose piece that is wrapped around the box here. That has your MMS number. This is MMS 760D67, and then down below that we have the character name, another glam shot of the character behind it, and then down here we have, this is a die cast piece. We are going to talk about the die cast elements to this figure. You have down here the movie masterpieces and the Hot Toys logos. And don't forget, of course, you have your reflective chrome Star Wars logo there as well. On this side of the box, there's not much to note other than just this nice glam shot of Grievous, this time with an electro staff in hand and his billowing cape. On this side of the box, we just have a lot of our legalese, the stuff that we as collectors don't really care about that much. And then on this side, you can see this is kind of how it pulls out like a book sleeve almost. And you can see there's the styrofoam in here that says Star Wars on the side, and we will need to remove the banner around the box to get that opened. However, you do also have a Star Wars logo on the bottom, and then you also have a Star Wars logo on the top. Removing the banner here, which like I said is its own separate piece, we are then left with the actual figure. So you're going to actually need to lay this on its side and lift off the sleeve, which is kind of the mock box for this here. And then you're left with this really cool, really premium feeling styrofoam box here with General Grievous in a really cool font on the front there. We will remove this tab, and removing the lid on the top of the styrofoam box, we are then left with an absolutely massive Hot Toy. I will show at the end of the review a lot of these size comparisons that you can find with this guy, with a lot of other characters that he may interact with, but I am just blown away by the sheer size of this figure. So I'm gonna get him out of the box and we'll take a closer look at General Grievous. Alright gang, here is General Grievous out of the box. First impressions, this figure is solid. He's heavy. You can tell there is a lot of die cast built into this figure, and I am completely floored by the utter size of this character as well. Let's get up a little bit closer so that we can take a look at all the amazing detail on this figure. Alright, up close and personal with the droid general here. Just first impressions. The armor plating is absolutely insane. I mean, it just has this really nice sandblasted effect that goes all throughout every single piece of armor here. You also have some awesome detail on the helmet. I did see that some people had some issues where the weathering, the kind of rust over these two scratches was very dark, and it catches the light a lot, because while I'm looking at it with the naked eye, it doesn't look as you know, prominent as it does on camera. So I know this was a first batch issue. I think mine might be part of that first batch, but looking at him, you know, as a whole, it doesn't take away from the figure nearly as much as it appears on camera. But you do have lots of of just different scratches in different armor plates here. Everything on this figure moves. We will talk about that a lot more in the articulation segment of this review, but there are just so many moving parts on this figure. It reminds me a lot of the 1000 Toys Spartan figures that they've been doing from Halo, where you move one piece and 3 other parts move as well. I have him kind of hunched forward a little bit because Grievous tends to be that way a lot in the movies and in the animation, so I figured it would be a little bit more fitting to have him in a pose like this. Look at all of the wiring that's up underneath the faceplate here. Just all of this different colors, different pieces. All of these are individual pieces and they all move on their own. It is absolutely insane just how much all of this stuff moves here. And again, you can see on the outer plating with the chest panels, the shoulder panels, and then on the back he's got some armor there as well, protecting the back of his neck. Just very nice detail all around. It's a very nice bone color they've gone with for his armor plating here, and you can also just see all different colors of weathering here. This Grievous has seen some stuff. He has not been back to the lair of Grievous to get his armor fixed up in a while, so it's amazing. And then of detail I really want to show off here, and again, just I kind of have to be very careful with this figure because as heavy as he is, as sturdy as he is, there are just so many moving parts, and those moving parts are so thin, I just don't want to risk breaking them. But something you can do with this figure is you can kind of pull back these chest panels here and reveal all of his organs. And yes, there are actually physical organs, I know they're catching the light really nicely right now, underneath this translucent green plastic. They didn't just, do some translucent green and then put nothing inside. There are actual organs with their own sculpted and painted detail inside here, and that to me is just a testament to how crazy detailed Hot Toys figures are. This is already, I can tell, this is going to be one of my favorite Hot Toys that I own in my collection. I think right now I have about 24 Star Wars Hot Toys, and man, I just can't get enough of this guy already. But taking a look at the shoulders here, something I'm a little bit wary about with this figure is that the shoulder design is kind of like the Black Series one, where the arms are not separate sculpts, and you see there's 2 hinges here that move at those elbows. Again, not to cover articulation just yet, but it looks like the arms are actually going to split if you want him in the 4-armed version, which that's probably going to be how I display mine on the shelf. But yeah, I'm really interested to see how that ends up looking. I am a little bit concerned, a little bit, cautious of that. Again, it's very finicky on the Black Series figure, for example, so just something to think about, just something to be wary of. We'll see how we feel about it in the video. Aside from that, though, again, you can see all the organs shining through the translucent green plastic, which I can't get enough of. The best way to describe what all the die cast is on this figure is all of these big metal pieces here. Everything that's kind of this gunmetal color, you'd feel it's kind of cold to the touch, is more of a die cast material as opposed to the standard plastic Hot Toys usually goes with on their figures. And it's a very nice mixed media approach. They've done a fantastic job with this. Again, just all of the detail, all the angles. He's just so spindly. They've done such a good job taking a character that was created in CGI and making him into a physical character. You can actually see back here the hinges that work, so you can actually pull that chest back. It's all one piece here. Again, just ridiculous amounts of detail here. But then you have the legs here. These are really where you feel the weight of this figure is in the legs. These are just die cast. All of this is just die cast, and it is really nicely done. I love the way that this looks. Just the base of the leg itself being this metal material, feels cold to the touch, makes the figure feel and look much more realistic. He of course has his more bone colored plating again down here at the knees and at the shins, and then the feet are just insane as well. Just these giant spider-like feet. I am really seriously floored by the amount of detail on this guy. Another thing I want to show too is the fingers here have 2 hinges. So you can actually curl the fingers in to get him to hold stuff, and that is just absolutely insane. I know I keep jumping ahead. I feel like articulation on this guy is probably one of the most impressive things about this figure, so I definitely want to get into that as soon as possible. But yeah, a close look at Grievous here. The looks on this guy are just amazing, and I want to give a special highlight to the eyes. Look at those eyes there. Just look at how those shine and reflect, and the different colors in there. These are rolling eyeballs too, by the way, so these eyeballs do move underneath the faceplate there. But yeah, amazing detail on this figure. I'm completely floored by how good this figure looks. So let's check out his absolutely insane articulation next. So usually for the articulation portion of my reviews for Hot Toys, I zoom back out and we take a look at the whole figure as I'm articulating it piece by piece. I feel like due to the sheer size of this figure, I feel like it would be doing it a disservice, especially with how many moving parts there are on this guy, to have him zoomed out like that. So we're going to stay up nice, close, and personal with General Grievous here. We're going to start off, the one articulation piece I really like is these little fins on the side of his helmet do have a little hinge here. They move up and down, and that is something that is accurate too as well to what we see in Revenge of the Sith. That is a detail that they make a point to show you with his CG model. These are really nice. They stick in place wherever you want them to be, and I just think it's awesome that they include something like this. Such a unique detail. The head seems to be on some sort of ball joint here. You do have an extra hinge that helps it move up and down, and I'll try not to isolate that while other stuff is moving here. But you can also, you can't get much tilt. You can get a little bit, but you can get him to turn his head. But you can get him to look up a pretty good amount here, and you can also get him to, of course, look down with the assistance of this next piece here. So you can see that there's a kind of like a faux hydraulic in here, this little tube that's back here by this back plate, which is on its own hinge and moves itself out of the way so that you can actually help him look down if that's what you want him to do, and it helps bring everything forward nicely. And then when you put that back, it does actually push this plate out of the way, which is super, super cool the way that that works like that. And as I showed before, we do have the hinges on the back plates here, which do move themselves out of the way so that you can more openly see the exposed organs on the figure. Grievous does have a hinge up here at the top of the shoulder, and that does move up and down with these dual hinges right here that move for the separate arms. We will try separating these in a little bit here, but this does also swivel a full 360 degrees. And then to boot, the shoulder plating here is on its own little barbell hinge joint. So there's a ball joint on one end, and then there's a hinge on the other, and you can move this any which direction you want, really assisting that freedom of motion. As I showed before, Grievous does have those dual hinges down at the elbow. Those do move really nicely. They do move very smoothly, and I don't think you can really hyperextend the arms, but you can get them to go to the 90-degree mark, and having them both work at the same time, it's actually pretty impressive they're able to do that. But similar issue to that I have with the Black Series Grievous is that you can see that forearm is starting to separate on its own, and obviously this is a Hot Toy, it's not an action figure, so you do have to be a little bit more delicate with these in general. The wrists on Grievous are really interesting. So there is a hinge that actually works by itself, and then there are swappable hands, which I will show in a little bit here. All the fingers and the technically is two thumbs, these do have a hinge at the base joint there. And then of course all of them have extra hinges at that second knuckle there, which is just ridiculous. This level of articulation on a figure like this, like articulated fingers, getting him to really be able to ball his hand up into a fist very, very naturally. This is just the kind of stuff that is really, really cool to me. He should have no problem at all gripping his lightsabers, which is something that we want him to do for sure. This midsection is all one solid piece, and that's obviously due to the organs that are inside of the organ sac there. Other than that, though, you do have a swivel that works at the waist here, so you can get him to bend that a little bit. And then at the hips, we do have ball joints there as well. Those have some really awesome movement there. And as you can see, these plates on the back here do flex and move themselves out of the way as I articulate the figure. You can see those moving by themselves, and it's really nice how everything works together when you're articulating this figure. It doesn't get frustrating because, you know, pieces are working against you, limiting your levels of articulation on this kind of guy. So yeah, definitely super cool there. You can of course get him to kick up pretty high. You can also get him to pull his leg back pretty far, which is awesome. And he can of course bring those legs out just a little bit, which is, for the limitations of the articulation, is fine. And of course you can bring them in and out, which is a great added movement there. He does have these double jointed knees here, so the double jointed knees are ratcheted, so you'll feel those kind of click into place here, and you can get Grievous to really bend those legs. You can get him to kick his own butt. So that is just insane levels of articulation there. But yeah, these are ratcheted, so it's just going to take a little bit more effort to get them, you know, posed up. However, it's important that they're ratcheted because with a figure this big, this heavy, you definitely want him to have a solid base to stand on. And then we have another ratcheted hinge here at the dog leg here, and you can see that that gives you some good range forward and back. It does also appear to have its own swivel, which is really nice. So a hinge and swivel at that joint is going to be very helpful with wider poses, more acrobatic poses. And then he does also have, it looks to be a ball joint down here at the ankle. Now this Doesn't have too much range. It can swivel. You can get it to move forward just a bit, back just a bit, in and out laterally just a bit as well, but not too much articulation in the way of that. But again, limitations of the design of this figure, I think that that's completely passable. So he's got some really, really nice articulation. I'm very impressed. The next thing I want to do here, though, is I want to check out this forearms gimmick here. So it looks like all we're going to do is separate the arms very gently. Definitely be gentle with a figure like this. I think it's important we actually start at the hand, work our way up to the forearm, and then everything separates, and then that's how Grievous will look with forearms there. You can see that we're already getting him prepped for some just awesome poses here. So now I think it's time we check out some of Grievous's accessories and get him on the shelf. So the first thing with the accessories I want to show off is this collector coin here. This just looks amazing here, and this is what the special edition release of Grievous is that you could order through Sideshow. You get the special coin. You can definitely tell it's real metal. It's not plastic. Got the Star Wars logo on the back. Up here it says Hot Toys Limited, and then on the front, of course, it says General Grievous. And then at the bottom it says Separatist Alliance. Very cool. I do have the one for Darth Maul that they did for these coins. I'm excited to add these to my little challenge coin display that I have in my collection room. So there are two layers of accessories in the box with General Grievous. There's a plastic tray that's underneath the styrofoam box that I showed you when we were unboxing him. Now, what's really cool to me is that for the separated hands, when you have the forearms, obviously you have half the fingers that you're usually working with if you have him in his two-armed position. So they do offer you 4 different swappable hands for all 4 of his arms, which do have fixed positions so that he can hold either a blaster or a lightsaber or any kind of accessory, just easing your conscience a little bit as the collector. You know, you don't have to worry so much about, you know, getting the lightsabers falling out of his hands or maybe the blaster, things falling off, breaking. It's very nice that they include accessories like this. And then, of course, if you don't want to deal with the separating hands when you have him in the 2-armed version, they do also give you 2 pairs of hands that are in the fixed position for the 2-handed look. These do not separate like the ones that came in the box, and these ones are nice too because they have the same articulating fingers that the other hands do. A big draw to this General Grievous release is that he comes with a lot of battle damaged features, including this battle damaged faceplate, which is inspired by both the Clone Wars and Battlefront 2. As you can see, the weathering on this is very similar to that of the regular one. You just see he's a lot more scarred and charred on that left eye there. I will show off, you do have the articulating eyeballs. Those can move in any which direction, mostly laterally, but you can get them to look up just a little bit or down just a little bit too. Just kind of depends on how much you play around with them, but a very, very nice inclusion here to give him rolling eyeballs. And the way this faceplate works here, you pull it directly straight off, like toward you, and then you can replace it with the other one here. And just be careful with Grievous, there's a lot of spindly moving parts here, but just like that, it's pretty simple, pretty easy to get him with that battle damaged face on. I think it looks amazing. A detail that's pretty specific to Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, which obviously this is the first movie we saw Grievous in, are some arms with some freshly lightsaber chopped damage here on the wrists, because Obi-Wan does remove a couple of Grievous's hands on Utapau, so it's really cool. You get one for the right side, one for the left side. And then, of course, you also get some other swappable options for some even more damaged looks here with the entire forearms being removed. One of the coolest accessories that Grievous does come with is this Electro Staff, and this is obviously the one that's used by the Magna Guards. There are 2 variants used by the Magna Guards, and I do like this one with the kind of bubbles on the outside exposing all the machinery underneath, and this is a really, really cool piece. So this is an accessory you would definitely need to use the pre-posed gripping hands for Grievous here, but it's still a really nice accessory. You do also get 2 lightning effects here, which look awesome in this nice translucent purple. These should attach really easily to the lightning rod here. So all you do is just feed those through there, and you can kind of tell where the electricity starts and where it ends, because there's the pieces that go out here, and there we go. Now we have the accessory all put together, and that is really, really cool. Of course, this being General Grievous, a big part of his character are lightsabers that will make fine additions to his collection that he gathers from slain Jedi. So of course, we're gonna get 4 lightsabers for our Grievous here. Each of these is a unique sculpt with its own unique paint applications. You can see all of them are done in a base silver look here with just basic black, red, and sometimes gold paint applications here. All the lightsaber hilts look great. They're all different enough, and I think they'll pop very nicely in hand on the figure. Hot Toys does love their USB electronic features on these characters as well, giving you the ability to light the lightsabers up. So you do obviously get 4 lightsabers as well that do have the little cords here to plug into that system. If we're gonna have 4 lightsabers, we're gonna need 4 lightsaber blades. So they do give you the corresponding 2 blue and 2 green lightsaber blades here, as Grievous is typically shown in all of the media he's in, having 2 of each color. So really cool that they did that there, and these do plug into the lightsabers very nicely. All the lightsabers work the same way. You can see there's a hole in the top of the lightsaber hilt and a corresponding peg for the base of the lightsaber blade, and you can see that's what that looks like attached. The colors on the blades are decent. They're not as pale as some Hot Toys releases, but I would prefer in general them to be a darker, more vibrant color. I know they're encouraging you to use the electronic feature, but for someone like me, it's just not feasible in my display. It's also not something I want to do for my display, so I would much prefer that they go with the darker, more vibrant colors for the lightsaber blades. And then of course on top of that as well, they do give you 1 blue and 1 green swooshing effect. You can kind of see where it's a little more saturated on one side. The blue, it's a little bit harder to tell, but you could definitely tell with the green there. And this is to emulate the that he does on Utapau to Obi-Wan. I hope that that sound effect was accurate enough for you to get the picture of what I'm talking about. But this is super cool as well. I'm really excited. Honestly, kind of would have preferred 4 swoosh effects. I don't know how I feel, but you know, then again, I think it's still really cool that they included this on this character at all. And then of course, Grievous does also come with his blaster pistol here that he uses in Revenge of the Sith, and he uses it on Obi-Wan, and then Obi-Wan in turn uses it on him. This is done in a nice gray gunmetal color plastic, just some basic brushing and detail on it, and it looks really, really nice. And I won't be displaying my Grievous with this, but it is still a cool inclusion. Now this accessory, I'm absolutely floored by. This is some wired soft goods for General Grievous's cape. Look at the very, very subtle detail for the symbol on the cape here. You can see with that decal, it catches the light very, very nicely. Gray on this layer here, and then of course on the inside, it's gonna be that really nice patterned red. Look at the stitching on this. You have your 6 individual slots for lightsabers hilts to be put in. Absolutely amazing. I can feel wires that go down the outside here, nothing along the bottom, which I kind of wish the bottom of the cape had wires, but you can also feel 2 additional wires in the middle here. So 4 wires should get us the kind of movement we want out of this. Looking at this more closely, it looks like there's a little clasp system. So usually I'm used to with Hot Toys cloaks and robes and, you know, capes and things like that, them connecting via magnet to the actual figure, but it looks like for Grievous, it's just going to be a little clip here. Once that is clasped into place here, it looks so nice. And I'm not worried about that connection losing on that clasp because it is a snap, kind of like a button snap would be on a jacket in real life. So it's a very secure connection, and I am really, really impressed with this cape feature. And as if this figure wasn't cool enough, you get an Utapau specific base here with the fresh lightsaber marks from, again, the where he's spinning the sabers at Obi-Wan for their famous duel. And then we have our nice chrome plaque, General Grievous there on the bottom. Nothing really to show, but man, oh man, what a fantastic, fantastic base for a fantastic figure. This does come with a crotch grabber style stand. You can see it's a little bit different than what we're used to here, but the system is the same here. You have that nice wire piece that does completely pull out and it adjusts up and down. You can enter it into the stand again very nicely. This is meant to go under his legs, hence the name crotch grabber stand, and you just connect this into the back here. You'll hear it snap into place, and there we go. Now we are ready to pose up Grievous. And then of course here we do have the electronic battery pack with the little clip here for the rest of the features. It does go via USB-C cable. You can see all 4 of the little ports here to connect that in. This is meant to clip on to like the display stand or maybe the back of the figure, anything you really want. Again, we're not utilizing this feature, but it's cool that they at least give you the battery pack for it. All right, guys. I think I need to zoom out here one more time so that we can check out Grievous in some action poses, check him out with his accessories in hand, and get this dude all kitted out. Just a basic pose on Grievous here. This is with the cape on. And something that's really cool is you can, like in the movie, tuck the cape up underneath underneath his collar armor here, I guess I'll call it, and it looks amazing. The cape drapes so nicely. You can get him to look so good. He is a little bit hunched over in the movie. I think a lot of people forget about that. He's not so upright. He is very hunched over most of the time, and I like that you can get that nice hunched look on this figure. Obviously, though, this is General Grievous. It'd be doing him a disservice to not get him in his four-armed look, and I'm just blown away by this figure. I will show size comparisons here, and you'll be able to see just the sheer scale of this figure, but he is massive. He is gigantic, and when you get him in a low pose like this with lightsabers in hand, it does so much for this figure. Here's another awesome pose here, nice and low. He's got all the sabers surrounding him. This figure is just insane. This is easily one of my favorite openings I've had this year, and I'm definitely going to be playing with this guy. Well, he's a little too big to be a desk figgy that I just keep here, so I'm going to have to be taking him off the shelf over and over and over again. And I know it's going to happen because this guy's just too cool. Just look at how low and acrobatic you can get this guy to be. He has such a great center of gravity. The die cast at the feet really do help this figure a lot, keep his center of gravity and keep his balance. I am just blown away by how good this figure looks, man. And here's Grievous doing his saber spinning from Revenge of the Sith. That, as you know, I'll say it again, that wonderful, wonderful sound. This figure is just amazing. I can't get enough of this guy. I'm going to be playing with him for weeks now. This is easily a top 5 figure of the year for me out of any brand, any scale. And just for a brief size comparison here, just to again show you the sheer scale of this General Grievous figure, to the left I have the clone Captain Rex from the Clone Wars line, and to the right I have the Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Clone Wars line. This Grievous, I don't even have him standing as tall as he can possibly stand in this picture. I still have him hunched over a little bit here because it's more accurate to how we see him in the media. And the fact that he just towers over these other Hot Toys is just insane, and it really makes this figure for me. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is probably one of my most favorite figures I've ever purchased for my collection. That said, this figure is not for the faint of heart. This figure is a very detailed and complex Hot Toy. I owned several Hot Toys before I owned this figure, so I kind of know what I'm getting into with Hot Toys. This figure, it can be frustrating at times when you're trying to get a specific look, but there are just so many moving pieces. You can either appreciate it or get frustrated with it, and I think that if this is your first Hot Toy, you will very easily get frustrated with it rather than enjoy it. So I would say that this is definitely a figure worth getting, but if it's your first Hot Toy, I'd definitely say use caution when posing him, because even though he has made a die cast, he's still fragile, and there's a lot of moving parts here, a lot of finicky parts, and they work well together, but it can be difficult to get the look you want for this guy. Like I said though, easily one of the best purchases I've ever made for my Star Wars collection. I can't wait to get this guy on display, and I'm so stoked to have him in the collection. But with that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did and you're not yet subscribed, subscribe to Blitz Transmissions, because guess what? I've got awesome Star Wars content coming out all the time. If you're an ARC Trooper in my Patreon, you would have seen this review early. If you'd like access to early content, monthly giveaways, and other awesome benefits, the link to my Patreon is in the description below. Become an ARC Trooper for just $4.99 a month. If you're a fan of the reviews I do here on YouTube, or you just want to support the YouTube channel more directly, you could also check out my YouTube channel membership, Rancor Battalion, for just 99 cents a month. It gives you access to all my reviews early, as well as exclusive badges and priority replies in my comments section, and you get to vote on what I review next for the channel, just like the Patreon members do. If you'd like some Blitz Transmissions swag, you could head over to the Blitz Transmissions Armory over on Printify. Link to that is in the description below, as well as links to my Discord and all my social media. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll catch you for the next one, and may the Force be with you.
Breaking off. All units, fire at will. 4-2, pick your target. Too many, Captain. Watch your stabilizer, Gold 6. Anybody cover me. I got 2 vultures on my tail. You've got to hold them here. Watch your left. I can't shake them.